I guess we can get started now. Yeah, the first thing I will do is just take attendance. You guys can just scan the QR code and or you can type in the link and it'll lead you to the attendance form. The magic number of the day is 22. If you guys can't access the attendance form, just raise your hand and let me know, and we can try and debug that. Okay, so first we'll start off with some announcements slash action items. Make sure you guys are enrolled in CS 1998 602 and Student Center if you haven't already. Make sure you guys are also joining the Ed discussion. If you're not on CMS, please email this or just come to us after class and we can try and get it situated. That discussion link is also on the student textbook, but you can come to us after too. So the first thing that we'll go over is the logcat. The logcat is a command line tool that dumps a log of system messages, including site traces when your device throws an error, or messages that you have written from your app with the log class. The log class allows you to create log entries in your code and display in the logcat tool. Common logging methods are included on the slide here. You have log.d, which is useful for debugging. It's probably the most common log method. You have log.i to post useful information. For instance, maybe you want to double check a message being called successfully. You could print an informational message to the log being something like X method called inside the body of the function. You have log.w. You also have log.e, which is useful for when you know an error has occurred and you can log the details about said error. For each log method, the first parameter should be a unique tag, and the second parameter is a message. Your tag can be any string that you find helpful, such as the name of the current class, which is probably the most common way of tagging logs. Tags for logs can be used multiple times. It just allows for a way to both uniquely identify logs and group them. And in the logcat window, you can kind of filter for logs through their tags using like the search bar there, and you can also filter them by the type, such as whether you want debug or you want info or you want error. The respective log types will come up. Here's just a concrete example of how it looks in the logcat system and how a log is formed. So in this case, we have a log.d with a tag string, and it's logging the message name, of the variable name, which is storing and the string Android. And then in the logcat, we see like the tag string log with the Android message. We'll show concretely how logs kind of look and appear and how you can write it out in the demo later today. Next thing I want to introduce is the res/values folder. The res folder is used to store the values for the resources that are used in many Android projects and include features of color, style, dimensions, strings, etc. A lot of this is already there for you when you create a project. It's separate from all the actual logic and the activities. It also includes like all the layouts and all the drawables and images and everything. And here's just a concrete example at the bottom where if you have this colors.xml which stores all the color values used in your project, you can access the colors both in the program itself, like programmatically, and also in the layout file. So here is kind of how you can reference the color in XML. In this case, it's changing the color of the background to be the color of color primary. Here we have our class files. This is kind of like where a bulk of the logic belongs. The complement to like the activity main layout file is the main activity. These two are both connected. So the activity main.xml kind of describes the UI for the main activity, and the main activity is where all the logic comes into play, where like you describe all the events, all the on clickers, all the interactions in that activity given the UI that you just created. So in this code below is a snippet of the new empty activity that's created when it's auto-generated. It simply launches this bit of code, just launches the activity and ties the layout file to that activity. Next, we'll have just going over more of the files that's in there. So every app project must have an Android manifest XML file at the root of the project source. The manifest file describes essential information about your app to the Android build tools, the Android operating system, and Google Play. The manifest declares the following the components of your app, which includes all the activities and the permissions the app needs in order to access protected parts of the system or other apps, like location. The build.gradle file is located in the project/module directory of the project, and is where all the dependencies are defined, including those for any third-party libraries or APIs your project might want to access, and is where the SDK versions are also declared. Now we'll just go over a little bit of Git. Git is a version control system that lets you manage and keep track of your source code history. And GitHub is a cloud-based hosting service that lets you manage Git repositories and is where your code is hosted on your internet as long as all of your code histories through Git. Git is useful for collaboration on projects because it allows very easily for you to kind of develop separately and then combine forces and combine code. It just compartmentalizes things very, very well, and it's recommended everywhere. And a lot of companies have their own versions of Git inside that they use. So yeah. And this kind of just goes over the four commands of Git. So Git pull does two things specifically. It updates the current local branch, and then it updates all the other branches given their changes in the remote repository. The git command captures a snapshot of the project's currently staged changes. Committed snapshots can be thought of as safe versions of a project. And then the git add command is used to promote or save changes to the project that will be stored in a commit. These two commands, git commit and git add, are probably the most frequently used. Usually commits tend to be more smaller bits of code, like more smaller bits of snapshots. You want to try and stage things and commit things as often as you can because they kind of make your code more manageable as a whole. The git push command is used to upload your local repository content to your remote repository, say on GitHub. Pushing is how you transfer your commits that you just created to now being posted on the remote repository. And git merge will combine multiple sequences of commits into one unified history. In the most frequent use case, git merge is used to combine two branches. And if the two things that you're trying to merge both change the same part of the same file, you might run into a merge conflict. And when such a situation occurs, you stop merging and you have to fix the commits manually. And Android Studio has a nice UI that lets you merge things together quite easily that we'll show later. And if you look at the course website, there's a nice tutorial of how you can install Git, which is required before you try and use Git in Android Studio. And next, we'll just demo a little bit of Git and Android Studio.
The first thing I'll do is I'm gonna try creating a new project. Oh, yes. I should be able to do it on mine, I think. Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, here we go. Okay. So I'm just gonna create an empty activity here. I'll just name it demo. And the first thing I'm going to do is I want to add my GitHub account to Android Studio while this is building. So you can do that by going to File, and then you can type in Git, and then GitHub. Right, so I already have both of my accounts here, but I'll delete one, and I'll go through the process of how you can add an account. I guess you guys all see this on your Android Studio, like this Git option. Okay, cool. So I'm going to remove this. I'm going to add a new account. In this case, I'll just add my Cornell GitHub account. I think everyone has this as provided through Cornell. So if you don't have a GitHub account, you can either create one or you can use the one that's provided by Cornell. In this case, I'll just do just that. So you have to put in the address of here. I have this here. The address of the Cornell GitHub server, and then you have to put in a token, which I think I have saved here too. Amazing, and that adds my account to that. I can apply and press OK. The next thing I want to do is I want to create, oh nice, my main activities here. So the next thing I want to do is I actually want to create a GitHub project. So I can do that by going to VCS, and I can create a Git repository here. And it's asking me where I want to put that. I'll just put it here. And it's instantiating that. I'll give that a second to do its job. You see how the tab here changed from, I don't know if you guys can see that, but up here it changed from VCS to Git because now I'm in an actual Git repository, so it's changing the interactions based off of the file that I'm currently in because it knows that it's now a Git repository. So, and these files up here are all red because they're not added to our Git history. So let's do that. So if you look up here, the Git buttons are all here. You can pull with this button. You can commit with the check mark, and then you can also push with this arrow button that's right at the left. So in this case, I want to commit all of my new files that I just created onto my Git repository that I just created. So I can do that here. Nice, and I have all of my files here. That makes sense. And for my commit message, I'll just put baseline files. Committing, and then all right, now that that's committed, now I can push all of my commits onto GitHub. And I can just use the push button that's right here, the arrow going to the right, and it'll lead me to, oh, first I have to, actually wait. Oh, first, okay. I forgot to actually make a repo on, so I have the Git repository, I just have to actually make the repo on GitHub, on my Cornell GitHub. So I can go to Git here, and I can share the project on GitHub. And I can give it a name and everything. So in this case, I'll just give it demo for today as a repo name. And then I want to put it, since I have two accounts on there, it'll give me the option of what I want to share it on. In this case, I'll just do it to my Cornell GitHub here, and I'll share it. No, I didn't click private. So in this case, yes, there should have been.
To click
Yes. So in this case, I'll share it again. So in this right here, you can choose the option to make your repository automatically private, and it'll do that for you. But in this case, I made it public, which is fine for today. I'm not really doing anything too serious. So, and everything should already be on the GitHub. So now let's check to see. Sure, I'll just use this as a way to get in. Oh, nice. So I have demo for today, and it's all the files that I just created. Now it's actually online and on GitHub. So yeah, and now I'll showcase like how you can like pull from the repository. So I'll make a change from here. Let's say, what can I change? I'll add something to the gitignore. I'm just editing. Oh, I guess I can't do that. Right, I'll add, hi, I just made a change online. I hope you get this. Mainactivity.kt. So now if I go back to Android Studio, now my main activities is not updated. So what I do to fix that is I can pull. I can use the and I can merge on the oncoming changes. It's switching from the GitHub repository to update the changes now on the main activity here. So, and now look, the change online is now on my actual main activity that I just created. So if let's say your partner just made a file online, made a change online, made a change separate from what you just did, and you want to update your own repository, you can kind of follow that same path of now I want to update and I can pull the changes onto your current local repository. You might also, when you're merging incoming changes onto your own local history, you might run into merge conflicts. And I'll kind of show you what that looks like on Android Studio. You can kind of, I'll just do it based off of this. So you can kind of ignore on here. It's just for demo a merge conflict looks like. So let's say I wanted to merge bottom sheets on here. Merge to current. Oh, look at that. I have two merge conflicts. This is crazy. So you can like double click on the file that's like here, and it'll automatically bring up a kind of window that I can use to kind of help me in merging things. This is kind of how it looks like on your end, and you can kind of pick and choose if you want to actually stay. You might want to coordinate with your partner in terms of like how you might want things to actually remain in the main merged file. So I can like pick and choose things that I want to say. In this case, I don't want this line here. I can pick this here and I'll get rid of that. I can add this here. You can kind of just like add changes, play around to get to a state where you can have a valid merged file. You can kind of do the different conflicts and play around with it, making sure that things look good. I want to add this, I want to add that, etc., etc. So in this case, I'll actually just cancel because I don't know what this branch does. So I'll just cancel this merge. And, a lot of hassle. Yeah, it can be kind of annoying trying to merge everything together. I guess the last thing I'll showcase is branches. The branches is a cool part of Git where you can kind of like diverge from a baseline and you can kind of develop different features on your different branches. You can switch in between the two. So it's very conducive to like partner work. If you're starting from like the master branch and you each want to develop a separate feature, you can each make separate branches and work from there. So let's say I wanted to make like a login screen or something. I can name this branch login screen, and that'll create a login screen branch. And I can do my work here, and that doesn't affect the main branch here. Or let's say I wanted to do another branch also that I wanted to make a home screen. The work that I do on home screen does not affect what I do on login screen. So it kind of like, it's nice for encapsulating your different changes in separate branches. And um, when it comes to working with master and kind of making your changes merge back into master, you can use a pull request. So I'll showcase that. Let's say I have in home screen, I add this change. Now I'm adding this change. I can commit that, add new line change. I can commit and push. And now if I go back to GitHub, it says that home screen had recent pushes less than a minute ago. So how can I get that onto my master branch? I can create a pull request. In this case, it'll compare base to master, and it'll add in the new changes to that. I can just merge it here since there's no conflicts. And then I can delete this branch. And then similar process if I wanted, so now if I go back, my master is of course outdated. I have this line 13 here. If I go to my master, I just merged it, it's not in there. Yeah, because I didn't pull it yet. Yeah. Yeah, so now it's not there, but if I want to update, then I can pull and update my project. And now the change that I just made from a separate branch is now on my master branch. So yeah, that's kind of like a quick overview of what you can do with Git in Android Studio.
Okay. So like on Monday, we went over how to create something that does this. Like basically, I'm creating a simple like login screen or something like that. And I have an edit text, I have a text view, I have image view, and I have a button. And um, in the end of the last lecture, I did not get it like perfectly running, but now I have. It's just like a API level problem. But yeah. This is a really simple layout. There's a lot of things you can do with it to make it more complicated, more customized. First of all, we're gonna start with maybe if you wanna upload your own image instead of this like ugly Android. Android is not ugly, but like if you wanna have something that's more customized, how you're gonna do that? So you go to your resource folder, and then you can click new, Then you can go to image assets.
Oh.
This is something I had before, but yeah, I'm gonna import something new. Say I don't know where I saved it. Oops. Where's image? Pictures. Okay, let's say I want a cat one.
Oh.
Something like this. And then I'm gonna name it cat. Actually, this cat already exists, like cat girl, let's say. And then I'm gonna say next. It's gonna create a bunch of icons with that image on it, with like different size. It could be different shape. And then it's gonna be stored in the drawables and the min map here. So what if I want to replace this Android image with what I just imported? I'm gonna go to Android source, like go to the image view and then go to the Android source attribute and then replace this cat girl. Now we have the cat girl here. Okay. What if like for the past examples, I always wanted my button text view edit text to center, but what if I don't want it to center? I want it to be aligned to only one side, but maybe like a little bit towards the middle. So if I don't want it to center and I want it to be aligned to the left, I'm just gonna take off the align like constraint to the right, this constraint, and then I can move it to the middle a little bit by, oh, I accidentally deleted a quotation mark. So I can do margin start, and then 200 is too much. Let's say 100. Okay, this is good. So basically, now this edit text is 40 dp. dp is kind of like how it's kind of a unit for like how long it is. It's 40 dp away from the left side of the screen. You can do a lot of things, like you can change it to a lot of different things. Now, what if I don't want it to be aligned to like the screen, but I want it to be aligned to like the submit button? I can actually do that by constraining left to the left of, where's the, okay, constrain the left to the left of button. Actually, that's not, I don't want to do anything to the image view. It's a text view I want to change. Wait a second. So yeah, now this text view, okay, now this edit text is kind of aligned to the button, but it's 40 units to the left of the button. So this is really helpful if you want to make like really complicated layouts, and then you're gonna arrange them accordingly. There's other things that you can do. For example, if you want to change the background color of the button, you can just do background tint and then actually to a different color. Now you might be wondering, where are all of those colors defined? As we talked about, the resource button is really helpful for you to get all of different values like string values, color values. So it's actually in one of the color folder. I have a lot of folder right here. So it's resource and then values, and then there's a color XML. You can define all of your own colors here. Actually, I don't have any hex value in mind, so I'm just gonna use what I have right now. But you can basically change off that to the color you want. You can go online to search for a color's hex value and then replace it here. And then you can also change the name of the color. We would suggest you to like define the colors in this XML instead of hard coding it. You can actually hard code it, but that's not recommended, because if you are using this color in multiple places, it will be really helpful for you to just write the name, the variable name, rather than like hard coding it. Because otherwise, if you want to change it, you have to go to like all different kinds of occurrences of where you used it. It's not convenient. And it's the same thing to string. You can actually define string here. So I can do something like, I want to make a string that called filler text. And I can say filler for the value. And inside my XML, inside of hello world, I can have as string filler text. Now, there's also a lot of things you can do with the text view. So you can change the text view's text size. It's basically Android text size. And then you can make it like, I don't know, 20. So basically text size usually have a unit of SP, and then other things, other layouts, components may have DP. If you enter it wrong, sometimes Android Studio will give you a hint on the side, the color of the code will change, and then you will know that that's not recommended. They're gonna ask you to change it to the right unit. So don't worry about it. It's really smart. And then you can also change the text style. You can make it bold. You can make it italic. Let's just make it bold for now. There's other thing you can do is you can change the text color. So you can make the text color white. No, it's gonna disappear. But okay, I'm gonna make it black. And other things that might be really helpful that works not even only with text, you can also work with image view, you can also work with button, is that you can change the transparency of a component. So that is called alpha. So alpha is it only takes in a value between 0 and 1. 0 means totally not visible. 1 means 100% solid, and everything in between is like to what extent is transparent. So let's say 0.7. Actually, that's not really a big change. Oh, okay, 0.3. So this is originally black, and now I'm making it like kind of transparent. So it's kind of like grayish. Okay, so that's a basic overview of something that you can do like with XML. All of those attributes, you can actually also change it programmatically. So like if your user interact with your app and then there's something you want to change, like the text of your layout, you want to change the color of your layout, you can all do it programmatically. This like last lecture, this was an example I used, that when you click on the submit button, after I enter, let's say username Jesse, when I click on the submit button, I can change the hello world over here to Jesse. That's a way that I change the attributes of a component programmatically. You can do it almost with like all of the attributes that I mentioned. For example, text color. Actually, let's not do text. Like let's do alpha. Make it 1. Wait, 1F. Okay. Yeah, so I just enter whatever here. And then when I click submit, not only does the text change, but also it becomes totally not transparent. And over here, I have a log.i. This is an example for the logcat that Chris just talked about. Logcat is really helpful for you to keep track of how your values change and and help you to debug. So in this code snippet, I basically want to do, when button get clicked, I want a logcat to tell me what did the user enter in the edit text. So I give a tag of this information to be input, and the value is just whatever the user input is. So just now I entered a QWQ, and then I click submit, and there okay, for you, I had this open ahead of time, but before, like, if you guys don't have it open, you go to the terminal in the bottom, and then you look over all of those like toolbars. You go to the, I guess it's the rightmost logcat, and then you can search on the top what kinds of logcat it has. I basically means information. Basically means debug. That's the two most frequent ones. So I go to info, and then it will show me what my logcat gives me. So yeah, this is a really helpful tool. Mm, and now, do you guys have any questions about what I'm just went through? Okay. There's something that's not included in my current code, but if you guys ever want to use videos and audios in your app, you guys can create a resource file called raw, and then putting like your like audio and video file and then using your app. Yeah, but it's basically just changing the direction name and resource. Yes, so you can basically put your video here, and when you access it in your XML, even though this is an image view, I'm just gonna do it for example. It will be something like, um, oh, yeah, okay, it would be something like r.raw and then that video name, but I don't have a video right now for demo purposes. You guys can come to me like later, or for like come to my office hour. I can show you exactly when I got a video running. I'm sorry. Now I have a fun project for you guys to do for practice. I made something.
Oh.
It looks like this. It's basically an app that has some like not transparent, somewhat a little bit transparent text over there, a cat. You can you can make it visible and not visible. And then you can also change the background to whatever color. And then you can also move the cat to left and right. So you guys, for like practice purposes, you guys can try to create that. Oh, it's just one more thing I need to kind of cover. It's to change like the visibility thing. 1 second. There's basically an attribute that is Android visibility. And then there's 3 different choices you have: gone, visible, invisible. Usually we just use gone and visible. Gone is like it's totally not there. So if you have something constrained to that like image or whatever component, that might affect the component related to it a little bit. But for visible, it's just there. Like normally it's just visible. For invisible, it's just you cannot see it. But if you have something constrained to it, it wouldn't change anything about the things constrained to it.
Yeah, it's still taking up space in
Right.
that layout.
So now you guys can try to create something like this, and then use whatever image you want, use whatever color you want, and then let me know if you guys have any question.
You can raise your hand. You can kind of when you do that to get you guys set up with one. Yeah. You have to like install. You kind of have to like install one yourself. It's yeah. You can kind of run through it.
Right. So you go to the top left corner, and then you click AVD manager. What am I saying? AVD manager, and then you go to the bottom left, click create virtual device, and then you can pick whatever screen size resolution you want. Click next. You have to download one of those like API level package thing, Android like API level thing. You just click download. You click next. You can give it a name. Usually you use portrait instead of landscape. And then you say finish. So you guys can, if you guys don't have emulator and I have problem with it, just let us know. You like my meme?
Do you know you can change? Oh, it's just a cat.
No, I'm talking about the meme, not the.
Yeah, it looks good. It's funny. I laughed.
Mutable list.
No, definitely not.
Yeah, they're gonna learn it eventually. Oh, for recycle view.
Yeah,
Mm.
looks like they did.
Mm.
How did you change the color? Did you use like a random color? How did you? I guess you can't showcase the solution.
It's okay. I can show it. I have this, and I use mutable list off of that.
Oh, interesting.
And then I use. This is how you do. They need to know how to do random. Random.
Nice.
But yeah, I also have the cat move left and right. Colorful, isn't it?
Yes, very nice. So I don't know, are any of you like Android users yourselves? 'Cause you can also use your Android device as like a phone emulator, and you can use that for development too. So nice. So plug it in, and then you can like use it, I think.
So for practice purposes, maybe you guys should first start with like making the text, change the color of the text, and then add whatever image, and then the rest, if you guys have time, you guys can do it. And then just call us if you guys have any question.
Yes. Let's play some music, right?
And my Spotify music is not good.
I'll send you the playlist.
You send me this playlist.
The Android playlist. Yeah,
There's an Android playlist.
I made one. You know, everyone else has a playlist for their class. I thought that was pretty fun.
How do you send your playlist to me?
I'll send it on Slack.
Oh, I just close Slack for this. Oh. I have a lot of K-pop.
Oh, that's really loud. I'm sorry.
Sorry. Oh, there's just one more thing.
Oh.
I'm sorry about that. Okay, this is some like Android shortcut things that might be helpful for your development process. So if in your code you have like those like R, ID layout, like text view, whatever, and then you wanna go into it really quickly, you can click Control or Command for Mac, I believe, and then you can just like
Oh yeah.
left click. So Control Command or Command, and then you left click, and you can go into it. It's kind of like a hyperlink kind of thing. It's just a small trick.